Persona has been to a lot of places. They dance, they fight, they do actual stories, they commit mass murder, and they become chibis. So today I'm ranking every single existing Persona spin-off, except for Aigis First Mission, because I don't know where I'm going to play it. Some of these are really good, and some of them just kind of miss the mark. Of course, as usual, this is not objective. This is my list, and if you have your own, you can leave it down in the comments below. Anyways, Persona 5 Dancing Star Night is the biggest missed opportunity I've seen from this series. For starters, the game's remixes are not very good. There are some good ones, but a lot of them, at least in my opinion, are kinda worse than the originals. It's not all bad though. It does actually expand on what Persona 4 Dancing did, adding music video type dances and a wider range of customization for characters. While P5D falls pretty short outside of minor upgrades, much like the other dancing games, it does a pretty good job at capturing the personalities of the characters via dance, and, well, whatever Ryuji is doing. But I have to say that outside of that, it's ultimately kind of disappointing. If I had to list my other issues with P5 Dancing, they'd be: it came out way too early and therefore is lacking an absolute ton of songs from later iterations and spin-offs of P5. The canon but not canon nature of this game is also kind of disappointing, because it means all the character interaction can be thrown right into the garbage in future entries. It's also pointless because this would technically have no bearing on the plot if the characters remembered it. Yaldabaoth as a group dance is fine, but there are a lot of better song choices. Some examples being I Believe, Wake Up, Get Out There, Life Will Change, and Colors Flying High. While the music video thing is a cute idea, I feel like the guys get a decent one and the girls kinda got the short end of the stick because theirs is a little bit too fan servicey for my tastes. The guys get like this cool, fun, like heist music video and it's kinda cute. And yeah, I'm not gonna talk about this much longer. Groovy, the opening, is also a pretty good track, but then they just had to add those strings in there and then it just descends. I can't stand that part. In the end, Persona 5 Dancing Star Night is a really big missed opportunity, especially because of the Persona spin-offs, it could have easily been the best dancing game.
I am currently in gross abandonment of my duties.
The blunder of Persona 3 Dancing Moon Night is not really its fault. This game was developed alongside Persona 5 Dancing, as they came out on the exact same day. Possibly because P3 at the time was kind of past its time. Persona 3 Dancing likely wouldn't have made enough money to be considered a worthwhile investment at the time of its release. However, P3 Dancing feels like half a game, just like Persona 5 Dancing. It doesn't help that it has a pretty big pile of DLC, but even with the social elements that it adds, it feels like P3 Dancing could have been a better game had it not been developed alongside P5. Persona 3 has already wrapped up for the most part. At the time around 2018, P3 seemed like a game that would at most get a remaster. One of the issues I have here is the desire to keep the game canon for some reason. It ultimately results in some weird exclusions. It also excludes Koromaru, which admittedly I think since the dances are motion captured is fair, but still feels kind of wrong. Koromaru gets one little music video song in the DLC, and Shinji is relegated to DLC. Anyways, my main issue with P3 Dancing is that it could have been as good as P4 Dancing. At most, it'd be missing Wait and See from Persona Q2. But I guess, maybe since it wasn't seen as financially viable alone, they decided to make it alongside Persona 5 Dancing, which unfortunately winds up flattening both of these games in the end. This game is a mashup of the casts from Persona 3, 4, and 5. And I don't think it's bad. It's actually pretty decent. But I didn't enjoy it as much as I did with Q1. I feel like I missed some major gameplay elements when I played because it feels like some of the stuff just didn't feel as good. I felt like I was running out of SP a lot more often, but maybe I was just playing the game wrong. On top of that, the game is trying to balance over 20 characters in the main cast, which means a lot of characters have to become caricatures of their actual personalities. This is just a side effect of a large ensemble cast. Most of the cast gets their chance to shine in this game, be it not necessarily in the main story, usually in side stories. And Atlus finally putting Femc into something is cool. There are definitely parts of Q2 that I like more than the originals, like the team-up attacks and the varying battle themes, but I think it does fall a little short of Q in story, and some of the gameplay mechanics felt like I had to return to the theater almost every time I did maybe 3 or 5 battles. But again, I was probably playing the game incorrectly, and I should have paid more attention to some of the intricacies in the mechanics. So I can't totally blame the game for that.
Me eat you whole.
A dungeon-crawling, story-based RPG with the casts of Persona 3 and 4 is a really fun idea, and PQ makes it work pretty well. Again, it still possesses some of the same problems as Q2, which is the large ensemble cast. It's hard to give every character a chance to shine and show more than just a basic few traits of their personality, but Q does it pretty successfully. The Q exclusive characters are also pretty good, and I do like the storyline a decent amount. The game still has an issue of being kind of slow, but I guess by the end I was just a little tired of the gameplay loop. It's good, but nowhere near as polished as mainline Persona titles. Turning Persona into a fighting game is a wildly interesting idea that I think honestly works pretty well. Not accounting for the quality of the PC port, Persona 4 Arena and its DLC Ultimax are honestly pretty good experiences. Having kind of a sequel to Persona 4 and Persona 3 is a nice way to give us a chance to revisit these characters. The game works pretty well as a story send-off for any kind of major developments of the main cast. The actual fighting game portion isn't too shabby either. It's simple enough at a base level for people who don't really play fighting games, but still want to experience the Persona story, while also being pretty deep with all sorts of unique mechanics that give the game its own flourish. I still don't really think it's worth it to buy the game at its full price for the narrative, and I think the animated P4 bust-ups are kind of made of nightmares. But still, it's a fun spin-off with a decent narrative, and honestly, that's more than what I could really ask for. The dancing games should be a celebration of the music of the Persona game that they're based off of. Persona 4 Dancing All Night is a game that pretty much proves this. It feels so refined, and it's a great send-off to Persona 4 in terms of music. Basically the final spin-off for the series. Weird to call it that, but you get the point. It remixes and uses tons of tracks from every existing piece of Persona 4 media, maybe barring the anime. But it's a cute and wholesome experience that even grabs a few of the non-party member characters to do dances too. At its core, it's what the dancing games should be. A fun culmination of the main game and its spin-offs. I keep stressing this point because it's practically a crime how Persona 5 Dancing and Persona 3 Dancing got treated in comparison. P4 Dancing might not have the social links that the other two games have, but it does have a story that is... well, it exists, I guess. It's weird because I almost prefer Persona 5 Dancing and Persona 3 Dancing social links over this story, but P4D's story is just kind of silly fun with some deeper elements. Anyways, yeah, this game is good, and if it ever gets ported to anything besides PS4, I highly recommend it. Strikers really is that good. I kinda want to make a whole video about it in the future, but we'll save that for, you know, the future. Persona 5 Strikers takes the Muso formula and mixes it with Persona 5. This game doesn't just feel like a Muso title, it feels like Persona 5 with Muso combat, instead of the other way around. If I have any gripes with it, it's that it plays a little too safe with its cards. Once you get past a certain point in the story, you'd understand what I mean by that, but I don't really want to go into spoiler territory here. But honestly, Strikers still is just that good. I can understand why it doesn't resonate with a lot of people, because it still is Muso combat, but I was thoroughly impressed with how good this game felt to play and experience, because it 100% feels like Persona, while not totally being a Persona game. And as I said before, if you have your own list for the Persona spin-offs, you can leave that in the comments down below. I'd love to check out some of those, as I'm sure a lot of you have different opinions from mine as well. And is there a Persona spin-off you particularly desire to see or want to see? Let me know down in the comments below as well. As always, you can like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more things JRPG, Persona, and Atlus related. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.